And I think a lot of it comes down to they put the emphasis on the fact that you have a close personal relationship with God, capital G, God Almighty. Like you're so tight with the guy, you and his kid are on a first name basis, and it's this is like it's odd, right? And it's like you're just gonna barge in front of the presence of the creator deity who spoke reality into it. Who the fuck do you think you are?
Literally.
Yeah, it's like, oh yeah, God, not only is God responsible for all this, but he has a special mission for me. He knows everything about me. And it's like, okay, so are you in awe and reverence of this guy, or is he your buddy? Which one is it? Because they seem to have it both ways, and I don't think that's how this could possibly work.
I never understood that. I could never like truly get on board with that, because I would see people in my church that would be like, oh yeah, and I was talking to God yesterday, and they're having like a back and forth conversation, and I'm like, you're telling me that the same person or the same being who created literally everything that we're saying created all of this also has enough time to sit and have a one-on-one with you on a random Tuesday afternoon while children are dying. Like
this is it's honestly it's insulting. Like it is so unbelievable. It's insulting because like I don't know how you could come up to someone and say, yeah, I spoke to God the other day and I was in a panic because I couldn't find my keys. And if I was going to be late for work, I could lose my job. And out of nowhere, I got this idea, oh, check the corner of the garage. And there my keys were. That was a God thing. Totally a God thing. Like, he really saved me then. I'm really appreciative. It's like a child got raped and murdered yesterday. Yeah. Like a child that was a Christian. And you're telling me that God said, nope, gonna let that slide, human free will and all, but really gotta help Carl here find his keys to get back to work. It's like, I would be so disappointed in God. Yeah, fuck my job. I can find another one. Okay, save that child's life. You should be enraged at your God, and that's where the fucking solipsism comes in. It's I'm always a little miffed when I hear people say that they believed in God, but they don't believe in God anymore because something bad happened to them. Now, I get like leaving a church or leaving a faith because of that, but the belief in God is like, slavery happened, the Holocaust happened, there are wars going on right now, but because, you broke your leg, you're like, oh, well, I guess God wasn't watching out for me after all. You didn't give a fuck about anybody else. Say what?
Yeah, people used to tell me, actually, like, if that was the thing that made me like stop believing in God, like because I was abused as a child. And I'm like, I mean, it helped, but that wasn't the only reason. It wasn't like I just woke up one day and was like, nope, God doesn't exist anymore, because if he did, he would have saved me specifically from this situation right here, instead of saving all the other. Like I regularly have to ask Christians, where is your God's priorities? Because genuinely, if he's helping you get a parking spot, but he's allowing other people to be raped and murdered, and people get cancer and die in horrible ways and stuff, and he's kind of just like, free will, but he helped you get a parking spot, I'm like, either this is not real or his priorities are fucked.
Yes, absolutely. And I say this all the time when it comes to, now, if like, say something bad happened to me, and say Wolfie died, like my cat, say Wolfie died. I'm like, oh, it's sad. Wolfie's only 2 years old and he died. I can't believe God took him away from me. Now, listen, I can understand. All right, maybe the God I worship isn't the right God, because like my God wouldn't have let my cat die or something. That wouldn't destroy the concept of a God for me. Those are two different things, right? Those are two completely separate things. But if you insist on believing in a God who does this stuff, I think that it kind of lends credence to the Christian fundamentalists and how they say that Donald Trump is blessed by God. Because I got to tell you, at this point, it's kind of hard to argue against them. I got to tell you, I am having a very difficult time saying, well, this guy, he is definitely, if anybody on this planet is blessed by God, it is Donald J. Trump. Because it also verifies all of my strongest suspicions that our deepest, like, philosophical questions would be solved if God were real and he were evil. Like, if we assume that God exists and he's evil, things start to make a hell of a lot more sense. They certainly don't make less sense. They make a lot more sense. And Donald Trump winning another election, surviving 2 assassination attempts. Oh yeah, God is evil. He wants us to suffer. I'm with them now. I'm with you guys. God exists and he loves Trump. I agree.
Plus, have you cracked open the Bible? Like, just crack it open anywhere in the Old Testament specifically, and you will see this God. No, he does not. He does not care. He sanctions rape. He sanctions misogyny. He sanctions so many different things, and it's like, yeah, I'd say this dude is pretty godly.
All right, we're gonna close things out here. I appreciate your patience, sir, if you're going for long to say, but Bible trivia. Do you have any good Bible trivia for us? Any the weirdest or most interesting point of Bible trivia you know?
Oh, I just made a video about this one. So, there is this mass. I don't even know if it counts as like a mass resurrection, but there is this passage right after Jesus is crucified. This is in Matthew 27. This is like verses 51 through 53, and it basically goes over this small instance where after Jesus died, after he breathes his last, and I'm saying this verbatim, the bodies of some holy people rose out of the tombs and came out and appeared before many people. And then the story just continues on. Like, they didn't even add that in there. And it doesn't tell you what happened to the body, to, like, the people, if they were actually alive or if it was just their bodies, where they went, who saw them, who they were. One of the people in my comments was like, I wonder if one of those was John the Baptist. And of course I had to say, I wonder if his head was still attached.
That is great. I wonder if his head was still attached.
Like, I wonder if he had to hold it or if he had
That's so funny. What if his head was still attached? That story. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, no, it was insane. And it's not in when they tell the crucifixion in Mark, when they tell it in Luke, when they tell it in John, nobody talks about that. So it's just in Matthew. That's it.
That is an insane story. And I love referencing that story too, because when people talk about, you ever see these folks and they say that the not only was Jesus a real person, which is an entirely different conversation to if he was the son of God and had superpowers too. They try to conflate those. Those are not the same thing. Jesus could definitely be real. The other stuff, all right, you got a lot of work ahead of you. And they'll say the resurrection happened. We know it happened because we have 500 witnesses. We have 500 witnesses, and so I was like, okay, what about the people rising from the graves after Jesus's crucifixion? You don't think anyone else would have written this down? You don't think this would be the most talked about recorded event of the entire Middle East? If anybody saw this other than Matthew, I think we would know. I think that other independent sources would come to this, but mysteriously not mentioned anywhere.
No, not anywhere. And it's so strange. And the thing is, it's not mentioned anywhere else, even in the Bible itself. They just throw it in there and they just go on about the rest of the story. They're like, and in the evening this happened, and then the next morning, and it's like, no, what happened with the bodies? Where did they go? Who were they? Why did they rise up? Who decided to do that? Like, there's so many different things that like go into that. And another thing that from what you just said, I think it's really funny when people are like, oh, but Jesus, he was divine because he resurrected. And
I was right about to go there. Go for it.
Yes. They're like, oh, he's so divine because he resurrected. And it's like, apparently everybody was coming back to life. Apparently they were just raising people back up from the dead all the time. And then they say, oh, well, it was because of his death and his sacrifice. And it's like, other people were executed the exact same way that he was. What's the difference?
Yeah, it seems, honestly, if you're going to reference Jesus' resurrection as proof that he's the Son of God, you've got a lot of work ahead of you, because I've read the Bible and it appears that resurrection was a bit of a banality at the time. It seemed not all that interesting. Jesus resurrected. Was he the Son of God? He didn't say. He had nothing to say about it. He was like, oh yeah, I'm back now. Not anything about where he'd been for all this time, what his secrets of the afterlife were. Nothing at all. There's another resurrection story in Elijah when.
Yep.
Oh, go for it. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I was just gonna. I thought it was interesting because people like to say like, oh, but Jesus, he was so divine and he ascended into heaven, and I'm like, well, shit, Elijah ascended into heaven way before then, and I'm like, there was a witness and everything. Like, he ascended into heaven. And this is kind of off topic a bit, but the thing that I never really understood was when they say they ascend into heaven, I'm like, where do the bodies go? Because it's not It's not like they're leaving their body and their spirit just goes up, because the way that the stories describe it is they're like, and they just completely disappear. They're just gone. And so my thought has always been, if they're ascending into heaven, is their body, their physical body in heaven? Does it get away? Does it what happened to it?
I've never thought about that. That's a really good question, because you're right. Whenever it talks about like Enoch ascending into heaven or Elijah ascending into heaven, they don't say their spirits ascended. They say they ascended. In fact, even when Jesus ascended into heaven, it was his physical body. And yeah, did their bodies burn in the atmosphere? Well, was that it? Was it they just, because it never, that's a fucking good question. I can't believe I never thought about that, because wow, I'm kind of embarrassed. That's a very good question. And they never bring that up. And he also Elijah, he raised someone from the dead himself. There was a story of the child who dies, and I'm not kidding you, people. Like, the child is dead, his body is stretched out on the ground. Elijah lays on top of him, or was that Isaiah? I can't remember. I got confused, but they lay on top of his body, like presses his mouth against the child's mouth and his nose against the child's nose, and like lays on top of him, and that's how he resurrects him from the dead. Just lies spread eagle over this person right here, and it's like, that is a weird fucking resurrection. That's a weird one, but yeah, I don't know.
I wouldn't even wake up to that. I feel like if I woke up to that, I'd be like, bro, get off me. What is this?
Let me see if I can find that passage or whatever. Did find the verse I was talking about.
Yes,
Here we go.
yes.
It's 2 Kings 4:32. When Elisha reached the house, there was a boy lying dead on his couch. He went in, shut the door on the two of them, and prayed to the Lord. Then he got on the bed. He lay on the boy, mouth to mouth, eyes to eyes, hands to hands. He stretched himself out upon him. The boy's body grew warm. Elisha turned away and walked back and forth in the room and got on the bed and stretched out on him once more. The boy sneezed 7 times and opened his eyes. Elisha summoned Gehazi and said, call the Shunammite, and he did. When she came in, he said, take your son. She came in, fell at his feet, bowed to the ground, and then she took her son and went out. So yeah, very, very detailed description of Elisha lying spread eagle on a child's body, dead body, and doing eye to eye, nose to nose, mouth to mouth, hand to hand, spiritual resuscitation. Very uncomfortable verse to read, like a very uncomfortable one right there. So yeah.
And plus, that's just. Is that not witchcraft? I'm so sorry.
I know, right? It's insanity. That's insanity, but
I hate the fact that Christians like demonize witchcraft so much. And I'm like, there's so many examples in the Bible itself of other people who were appointed by God doing witchcraft. It's like, this isn't a new thing.
That's a good point. That's a fucking spell. If it was about God's power, he could have just said, all right, raised from the dead, right? What?
He's done it before.
Yeah, I do anything like that. But all right, cool. All right, folks, we'll catch you guys later. Thanks so much, Serafina. We enjoy it. Catch you guys next time.